What is up, YouTube? ZukiM1 here, and I am back with a brand new YouTube video. Today we are going to be showcasing you guys my Tyrannomon or RustTyrannomon, whichever one you want to call it. Now, for those of you guys, well, none of you guys would know this actually, so let me go ahead and tell you. I actually had this deck ready for you guys about a week, maybe two. I think it was like almost like 3 weeks back actually. Let's just say it was a while back, right? So I had this deck ready for you guys to go back then. The big issue that I had was that I could not get any wins, right? And the deck was just really bad. I could get up to the RustTyrannomon, but the most I could do was like a damage, 2 damage or something like that. And I didn't even accomplish most of the time what I needed to do, because it's so easy to play around what the deck wants to do, which is, hey, have a Digimon on board. If you do, I can suspend it and then swing over it and then trash your security, right? Okay, cool. I'm just not going to do anything Digimon related until I'm ready to kill you, and then I just win the game. And that's what I kept bumping into when I was initially playing this deck before I got a chance to showcase it. But I finally cracked the Da Vinci Code. I figured it out. I've made this deck into what it was always meant to be, and I will showcase that for you guys right here, right now. So, for all this hard work, all this research, please hit me with the like and subscribe button. Thank you very much. Now, let's go ahead and get started. So, for eggs, we are running the Tyrannomons. While suspended, this Digimon gains 1000 DP. So you're going to make your Tyrannomon into a blocker, either from your level 5 or from your Shoto Kaizuma effect. So you're going to be able to use this to give yourself that extra DP to sometimes trick up your opponent in terms of when they want to attack or not, because there's going to be times where they may be stronger by just 1k. You suspend to block and then you gain the 1k in trade, or maybe you guys were even right then and there and they swing, you suspend, and now you're 1k bigger, and they're like, wait, what just happened, right? Because unlike in real life, you can ask your opponent effects and stuff like that, right? Online, it's all automated, right? So you're responsible for reading all the effects. You're responsible for making sure you know what happens when. So the Tyrannomon can trick up some people, at least from an online perspective. Obviously, in real life, most people would ask about the whole, what does this egg do? So just letting you guys know, this egg is still good with or without your opponent knowing what it does. But just know it does do a lot for the deck. Next, we are running, I'm gonna go this way instead of going from top to bottom, because it doesn't make sense for me to cover this first before this. So we're running 4 copies of the BT14 Palmon. It has the effect, start of the main. One of your opponent's Digimon gains all turns. When this Digimon becomes suspended, lose 2 memory until the end of their turn. Not your turn, their turn. So if they swing with that Digimon, they also lose 2 memory. So it's basically an ice wall on a Digimon, except it only gets to hit 1 Digimon instead of a blanket effect, which is fair. That's fair. So it also has the effect of your turn. When this Digimon would Digivolve, if you have a green Digimon, green Tamer, reduce the Digivolution cost by 1. In case you didn't see, all of our Tamers are green. So this Palmon will get a lot of value out of this deck, and it also helps you be able to force your opponent to not want to suspend. But if you see the combo, which is Palmon X Antibody, it has the effect of on play / when Digivolving, suspending one of your opponent's Digimon. So your Palmon will place the effect of, if this Digimon suspends, lose 2 memory. Then your Palmon X Antibody will give you 2 free memory for Digivolving for absolutely free. So you did not pay a single dime. So whatever your memory counter was, just add +2 onto that because of the Palmon X Antibody. And you get to draw a card, and you're setting yourself up for the following turn to go for for the attacks. So just know it's a lot of value coming out of that little rookie package right there. Next, we have the Kukurumon. It has the inheritable of when this Digimon deletes an opponent Digimon in battle, gain 1 memory. You're going to be doing that a lot in this deck, so it's definitely going to get its money, its resource worth. Next, we're covering onto the champions, which is Tyrannomon from BT14. So this is more of a recent one. It has the effect of start of your main for the turn. When this Digimon would digivolve into a Tyrannomon in name, or a dinosaur, or a I don't know how to pronounce that trait, reduce the Digivolution cost by 1. So this, its own effect, triggers whenever you attempt to digivolve. So what you can do in conjunction with their effect is use one of your agilities. So the first evolution cost will be pretty expensive, right? This one is 3, right? But every concurrent evolution past the Tyrannomon is extremely cheap, and I'll go over how you reduce the cost of all of your Digivolutions. But just know, once you get past the first evolution, the rest of the line does get a lot cheaper, and you do get a lot of like give and go in terms of how you want to go about distributing that cheaper evolution line, that cheaper evolution. So that's their main effect. And then their inheritable is once per turn, if this Digimon has Tyrannomon in name, or a dinosaur, or whatever it is, I think it's Cyterian, this may attack. So basically any dino trait Digimon and Tyrannomon, once you pass turn, which they expect you to do because their evolution cost is really high, right? Once you pass turn, the inheritable for this effect will allow you to be able to attack, forcing your opponents to have to block sometimes, or to force collisions, hint hint wink wink, right, to get some value out of that as well. So this card is absolutely bonkers, probably still going to be a staple once the new Tyranno support comes out, but definitely an extremely powerful card. Next, we are running an older Tyrannomon, not as old as some of the other Tyrannomons that you could potentially run, but definitely still a little bit older. From BT11, it has the effect of on play / when digivolving, you may play 1 tamer with the 3 costs or less from your hand. So if you notice, 1, it does not give you a limit to how many tamers you can play. 2, it does not specify which tamer you can play. And then 3, you can do this as many times as you are able to digivolve or slam this Digimon. So that means if you are able to find a way to continuously abuse this Tyrannomon, you can play out all your Taigas for free, because it does not care if it's a dupe. And you can play out your Shoto Kaizamas for free. It does not care, again, because it doesn't look for the name. So this card is insanely valuable and will still continue to be one of the staples for, again, when the new support comes out for the Tyrannomon package. And then it has the effect of your turn, while this Digimon, while you have a tamer in play, gain 2k DP. That does help you get over a lot of Digimons, because this is 1k plus the 2k, that's 3k. 3k plus 13 is 16, or with 12 is 15, right? So helps you get over those hurdles that you might bump into here and there. So both of the champions are extremely impactful. I would never suggest to cut either of these from your list, because these are the best Tyrannomons that you can run in a Tyrannomon deck. Next, we have Metal Tyrannomon, probably one of the best cards in the deck. It has the effect of on play / when digivolving, for each green or black tamer you have in play, suspend one of your opponent's Digimons. Then one of your opponent's suspended Digimons can't unsuspend during your opponent's next unsuspend phase. So you can keep a Digimon permanently suspended, but this in conjunction with the Patamon. So let's say I don't see the Patamon X antibody, and I just go Patamon, Tyrannomon into Metal Tyrannomon, I'm gonna gain back 2 memory to reduce to basically treat this evolution for a 2 cost, right? And that's not including your agilities or any other effects that you have pending. So you can get a lot, again, you can get a lot of free value out of this deck to climb up your evolution line and get to your boss monster as quickly as humanly possible, and then immediately start controlling your opponent's board. So this card has that effect, and then it also has the inheritable, which is probably the best part about this card. When this Digimon deletes an opponent Digimon in battle, trash the top card of your opponent's security. So a lot of times you're going to be putting their cards suspended, leaving them in a suspended state. Then you run them over. You have piercing from your tamers, and once your tamer give you piercing, you run it over, trash. If it's this one, you trash 2 security and then deal a point of damage with the tiger, so that could potentially be 3 points of damage. Or you can swing into this, only deal 2 points of damage, but you get to unsuspend and then swing again. So that adds up to your 3 damage that you would have did because of the unsuspend effect. So you get a lot of value with your evolution line, and it really does help you be able to control the game way more effectively than what my initial draft was. Mine was very tribal, right? I ran the Agumons, I ran the Tyrannomons, I ran the Metal Tyrannomons, and the Mama Tamaron, and the RustTyrannomon, both base and Rust, and then just maxed out on the Tigers and agilities. That was my initial build. It was absolute dog water, straight garbage. I got thrashed by everything. This, however, I have seen a tremendous success rate with it, and it's all thanks to these patas, and including the Shoto Kaizumas. Because, oh well, I'll get to that in a second. I'm just very excited. This deck is super cool. Next, we're running Tyrannomon. I think that's how you say his name. Obviously, you guys can correct me later, because I'm pretty sure you're probably going to do it anyway. But just letting you know, this came out as a promo in BT17. BT17, this was a promo that you can potentially get out of your box. So it's very hard to get, but I don't believe it's super expensive because the deck isn't popular. So you can pick this card up for a very reasonable price. It has the effect of collision and blocker. So it naturally has collision and then naturally has blocker. And all turns, when your opponent when this brain, please. Okay. All turns, when an opponent's Digimon becomes suspended, you may unsuspend this Digimon. So when you activate collision, your opponent became suspended, and because it became suspended because of collision, you get to unsuspend. So this helps you remove pieces of your opponent's board, and also allows you to try to gear up for another attack. Now, the unsavory part about this Digimon is that it's only 6k DP, right? If you look at the rookies, they're both 5. Then you look at this Metal Tyrannomon, it's 8, and then he goes like literally only to 6. So that does kind of hurt a little bit. And if you don't have this Narrowmon and this Tyrannomon, he stays at 6, which I mean 7. So it's like, right? But you're really running it because it does forces your opponent to suspend, and it also has the inheritable of when your opponent Digimon becomes suspended, you may unsuspend this Digimon, which is the same as the effect, right? So if you can force your opponent's Digimon to suspend, he can unsuspend himself again, which will trigger this guy effect, and trigger a whole bunch of other different effects as well. So it's still a really good card and very valuable, and the fact that it has collision is really good. I just wish the collision part was the inheritable instead of giving us the exact same effect, but I digress. Next we go over the 6s, which is RustTyrannomon. So you saw me kind of talking about them all throughout the video, but we're gonna cover them right now. So it has the dope ass effect of reducing this Digivolution cost by 1 for every single green or black tamer you have. It does not care about the name, and it does not care if they're dupes. It just only cares about how many you have. So if you have 5, guess what? That is a free evolution, right? An absolutely free evolution for a menacing Digimon. That is crazy amounts of value. And on top of that, right, you can still use your agility trainings, you can still use your Powermon's inheritable, you can use quite a few different effects to help reduce that cost on top of that, like your tigers and stuff like that. So this guy just does not cost anything. So imagine just going into your 6 completely free without having to use your options or anything like that, just because he says, cool, I control 5 tamers, here's a free level 6. And then it has the effect of when this Digimon deletes an opponent's Digimon in battle, unsuspend this Digimon. So that allows you, like I mentioned before, to start controlling the pieces on your opponent's side of the board. 16k running over your opponent with piercing. More than likely, you're going to always be able to run over anything on your opponent's side of the board and trash a card with the Metal Tyrannos effect. If not, you get to unsuspend with the mana, and then you can swing over something again with the rush to trigger his effect to unsuspend again for a 3rd time. So he can potentially get up to 3 attacks if you can suspend up to 2 bodies on your opponent's side of the board. Next, we are running the RustTyrannomon. So obviously, because it's an ace, it doesn't have an inheritable, but it does have this effect of suspend all of your opponent's Digimons with DP equal to or lower than this Digimon. And then it also has the effect of when your opponent's Digimon is deleted in battle, trash the top card of your opponent's security. So this, in conjunction with this, means you get to trash 2 cards, right? And trashing allows you to just get rid of the security without having to interact with that card. So I don't have to worry about tamers coming out for free out of your security. I don't have to worry about options being triggered out of your security for free. I don't have to worry about any Digimons with the security effect to come out for free, unless the card specifically says if this card is trashed from your security, you literally have no concerns about trashing any of your opponent's security. So the fact that you have 2 ways to trash your opponent's security that can build on top of each other makes that an extremely strong combo that is very difficult to deal with unless they just completely get rid of that Digimon, right? Next, we have 2 copies of the Mimi. Mimi has the effect of setting your memory to 3 if you're below 3, and then also if you have a level 5 or higher green Digimon in play, you can tame this. You can tap this tamer to either move up a Digimon from your breeding area or be able to crack a new egg. Now, a lot of times what this Mimi does for your deck does help you chip out your opponent, but also it can help you draw more, right? Because you're gonna build up your line and you got all these pieces in your hand. You gotta wait a whole turn before you can put another rookie in the back. So instead of waiting, you can tap the Mimi, put something in the back, start building on that. So in case your RustTyrannomon die, and it will die, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like he won't die. He doesn't have any protection, if you guys have noticed. But you can still deal your damage, you can still control your opponent's board, and you can still get a lot of value out of this. So Mimi is still a very must and pretty much any green strategy, as long as you get up to a 6, obviously. Next, we are running the BT2. This is probably one of the oldest cards that still see play to this day because the effect is actually still very loaded. For a card that came out as early as BT2, this card is insanely loaded. It has the effects of all of your Digimon with Tyrannomon in name gains piercing. When this Digimon, it explains what piercing does. And then during your turn, when you Digivolve into a Tyrannomon, you can tap this tamer to reduce the Digivolution cost by 1. So, this guy can play him out for free, right? Then you want to Digivolve into this. Now, this costs 4, but with him, it makes it 3. And then if you got this, it makes it into 1. So you literally only paid the 3 on the first initial evolution. So that's why, like, the champions are expensive, but after that, you start seeing all the value that comes from this deck, which makes it that much more of a very strong deck to have to be able to fight against. And definitely something I did not initially anticipate when I first was building the deck, but I'm so happily surprised. Next, we're running the BT11 Tigers. It has the effect all of your Digimons gain 1k DP, which is really nice during your turn. And then when one of your green Digimons, so you can use this not just in your Tyrannomon, but you can use this for, like, if you want it to be really spicy and run Rapid Mons or Mega Galgamons or other stuff like that, you can help reduce the Digivolution cost of those guys by 1. And if you didn't know, both Rapidmon and Mega Galgamon do have some pretty expensive Digivolution costs. The Rapidmon level 5 costs 4 to Digivolve into, and then the Galgamon costs, I think, also 4 to... Does he cost? He's expensive as well. So both of them are not cheap, but he can help you reduce those costs. So just a really generically good green tamer support, but particularly works pretty well in his own deck. Then we're running the new green tamer on the block that everybody absolutely hates for all the wrong reasons. We got Shoto Kaizuma. Shoto Kaizuma has the effect of start of your main, so not start of your turn, but start of your main. If your opponent controls a Digimon, you gain 1 memory, and then end of your turn by suspending this tamer, one of your Digimons can gain piercing and blocker until the end of your opponent's turn. So the reason why you ended up using this card most of the time wasn't even in his own deck. It was used in a Mom strategy to make Mom into a 15k unaffected blocker that can potentially get bigger depending on your tamer lineup, like if you were running Structure Deck Tie and other stuff like that. But this guy in a Tyrannomon deck makes it so Tyrannomon can trigger his all turns effects. See, what you didn't know is Tyrannomon, RustTyrannomon, not the Ace, has the effect of all turns. If I deleted an opponent's Digimon in battle, you unsuspend this Digimon. So if I make him into a blocker, I can gain 1k DP because this is also all turns. To make him into a 14k blocker, he is affected by other stuff, but a 14k blocker that can unsuspend after you swing with your first body, and then because you swung, I get to trash a card in your security, or when your Digimon suspends, I get to unsuspend off my inheritable, and then I get to unsuspend again off my own RustTyrannomon's effect, potentially giving me up to 3 blocks on a single Digimon. Do you see how valuable Shoto Kaizuma is in this deck? You can get up to 3 blocks on one Digimon from off just using the Shoto Kaizuma to give it blocker. Isn't that crazy? Like, that's so good, and I can't believe I've looked around. I promise you, I've looked everywhere. No one is running that in this deck. I don't know why. It is such an insanely valuable card, and it does so much for this deck. But I digress again. Yeah, no, the card is just insane. It's just insane. Next, we are running 3 agility trainings. The agility trainings allows you to grab a green card off the top of your deck, and then the delay effect, trash this card to reduce the Digivolution cost by 2. So it can make your champions even cheaper, which can help you build your line even faster. Because like I mentioned before, once you get to your champions, every single sequential evolution after that point becomes extremely easier to get into. So the agility trainers are an absolute must. And then another spicy tech that I again take in the deck is Poison Ivy. It has the exact same effect as the Palmon. So potentially what you can do is you can activate Poison Ivy after you've activated the Palmon's effect. So now if an opponent's Digimon suspend, you gain 4 memory. 4 memory. Because you're going to trigger the Palmon. So Palmon's effect target. Poison Ivy for 1, targeted again, you're at 0. You Digivolve into Palmon. Palmon's effect, suspend your opponent's Digimon, you gain 4 memory. So if they put you to 1, you got 4 memory to work with now. That's insane. And then if you had Mimi in the back, you were at 3, so you went to 2, so now you're at 6. You're at 6 memory during your turn. Wow, that's so good. So you can literally climb your whole entire Digivolution line on your turn without passing turn, even with these expensive Digivolution costs, just because of the Palmon engine. That, oh, man, I know it sounds like I'm just gushing and just like glazing so hard right now, but you really have to understand this deck felt like it was just impossible to make work. So the fact that I was able to craft something like this from a deck that was just so underwhelming, oh, does it feel so good. It really does. It really, really does. But that is all that I have for you guys today. Hopefully you guys did enjoy today's video. If you did, make sure to hit me with the like and subscribe button. But this has been Zuki M1, and I hope to catch you guys in the next video. Peace.